college kids who don't really care so much about higher education when they get there and see what it's like and the people they got to deal with on a daily basis. It's told from 3 first-person points of view. This is from Pete's point of view. Lucas does not fuck around. You can say a lot of horrible shit about him and all of it would be true, but he absolutely does not fuck around. If he's ever caught, which I seriously doubt will happen, there is no question in my mind that he will rocket into the stratosphere of criminal celebrity. And in the unlikely case that he is taken alive, after an army of cops, reporters, jurors, psychiatrists, groupies, murder junkies, filmmakers, authors, and musicians have gone public with who they think he is and what he means to them, he's going to be the #1 swinging dick rock and roll king of serial killers. In a world full of backpedaling, dysfunctional, whiny crybabies who talk a lot of shit and can't carry through on any of it, Lucas, as fucked up as it may seem for me to say it, is basically what every guy wants to be and every girl wants to spread for. A total animal who doesn't give a fuck for anything or anybody and does whatever he wants, whenever he feels like it, with no fear of consequence. I looked up to him. You couldn't have got me to admit it under torture, but I did. I also hated his goddamn guts. If I thought about it for too long, or with any kind of depth, it made me sick. The only emotions I ever saw him show in the 3 years I knew him were hate, bloodlust, and contempt for anything and everything. It was impossible to like him, but I did. I couldn't help myself. Maybe it was his complete lack of any kind of need to be liked that did it, or it was because I was part of my own theory and subconsciously wanted to be disliking. The house he led us to was in the swanky part of sorority though, a big one with a new siding and bench swing hanging from chains on the open front porch. There were no Greek letters on the front of it. This wasn't an official sorority band. It was a satellite house where a bunch of rich girls who don't live in the real sorority house get drunk and share tampons and boil ramen noodles. Sometimes they do it because there's no room in the main house, or they don't like their best friends who already live there, or the line for the curling iron is too long, or the sorority they belong to officially frowns on the recreational use of cocaine. At least those are the reasons I came up with after hours of being forced to listen to them talk to each other before and during classes. It was a nice house, clean enough on the outside to belong to somebody's parents. Our house, which looked like a cheap shithole to begin with, looked like 100 times worse by comparison. Rich bitches, Dave said. I swear to crap, if the top of their stove was clean, I'm going to be so pissed off. Lucas took a pair of black leather gloves out of his back pocket and pulled them on. We could hear them inside, laughing and having some kind of good-natured argument. That was bad. The curtains were closed and there was no way to tell how many of them were in there. There could have been 2 or 22 for all we knew. I don't like it, I said. It's too early. Lucas tapped Dave's chest with the back of his hand upstairs. Dave finished pulling his own clothes on and I hurried to get mine on. I was pissed off. I'm telling you, it's too early. People are still out. Lucas took a step closer to me and I had to bend my neck back so that I was looking into his face and not his chest. You're on the back door. Would you fucking listen, I hissed. This is no good. They're still up and running around in there. They're gonna be running, Dave said. He was grinning again, but there wasn't anything amusing in it. Lucas stepped off the sidewalk into the yard and started around the side of the house with Dave on his heels. I could follow what he left behind. I followed. Friedman is a mid-sized hick town. The locals all think Chicago kids are thugs and criminals, so they lock everything up extra tight. The college kids from Chicago think they more or less moved into the indie groupie shit, so they leave everything wide open. Even with the stories and warnings about the shit we've been doing everywhere, we were still walking in and out of pretty much any house we wanted. Everybody thinks it can't happen to them because they're lucky, or there are always a bunch of people hanging around, or maybe because they're just plain stupid. The back door of the satellite house was closed but unlocked, and we went in like we owned the place. If it had been locked, there wouldn't have been more than a 2-second delay. The door and lock were so old, Lucas could have shouldered it one time and splintered it out of the jam. Lucas never broke stride. He turned the knob, opened the door, and kept walking through the kitchen and into the living room with Dave 5 steps behind him. A girl in a t-shirt and sweatpants was on her way to the sink with a dirty plate and glass in her hand. She paused and was looking back over her shoulder so she wouldn't miss out on whatever witty one-liners her gal pals were cracking. Her head turned a second too late at the creak of the back door and Lucas had her. He slammed his open right hand up into the tender skin of her throat, just below the snakehead of her chin and jawline, and lifted her off her feet. The small of her back collided with the corner of the television, and she dropped to the floor with it on top of her. A brunette with shitty hair jumped out of the way and broke her mouth, and opened her mouth to scream. Lucas gave her a right hook that broke her jaw, and dropped her like a bag of cement next. The front door had a deadbolt and a chain on it, and he locked them both. The whole movement, from the time he turned the back door knob to the time he slid the front door chain, took less than 30 seconds. I locked the back door, Dave grabbed a long bread knife off the counter. It still had wet tomato sauce and coagulated cheese on it, and ran up the stairs to the second floor. I started yanking drawers open, looking for a knife of my own. I felt like I was going to be sick, but good sick, as if all my blood had been sucked out of my veins and replaced with low-voltage lightning. People are strange when you scare the living hell out of them. You'd think the first thing a girl would do when she sees a complete stranger standing in her living room with obvious bad intentions is scream her head off. That's the way it happens on TV. The reality is that it takes them a few seconds to catch on to the situation. True fear makes voluntary bodily functions involuntary. They want to scream. Their mouths gob up and down, their eyes get wide and teary, their faces get pale. They tremble and shake. Sometimes they lose control of their bladders and piss all over the nice comfy furniture and shag carpet. And no matter what they do or what it looks like, it's beautiful. Absolutely stunning. Because it's real. As real as anything can ever get. And it can't be hidden and it can't be faked. The rush it gives you is like nothing else in the world. But I wasn't getting any thrills at all because I was still looking for a goddamn knife. The only prospects I found in the drawers were a claw hammer with a black rubber grip on the handle and some stainless steel shish kebab skewers with rings on the ends of them. Finally, I gave up on the drawers and started rummaging through the dirty shit in the sink. You would think that girls are cleaner than guys. Not true. If anything, they're nasty. They'll eat half of something and throw the plate in the sink with the rest of the food still on it. These bitches were so lazy they started to wash their dishes, then quit and didn't even drain the water out. So I ended up jamming my hand into 4 inches of cold gray slop, which didn't do anything to help my mood. All I got out of the deal was a wet glove and a pathetic little paring knife that looked too dull to cut paper. I tossed the hammer in Lucas's direction and he caught it by the head. By this time they started screaming and whimpering and crying, and they were jittering around, ready to run. None of them were hot, but they were okay. One of them had a fat bouncy pair of tits and her ass was heavy. I thought Lucas would do her first because she was closest to him, but he grabbed her by the hair and threw her over the coffee table so that her elbows hit the floor, and her knees and thighs were caught at an awkward angle that made it hard for her to get up. There was a scream from upstairs, followed by the sound of Dave's laughter. A girl came down the whole set of stairs without her feet touching any of them and landed on her stomach. All her air came out in one gasp and she rolled over, choking on nothing and clutching at her throat as she tried to get it back. The towel she'd been wearing fell open and she was naked in front of us. Her cunt was hairless except for the perfect shape of the heart made by damn black curls. I don't know what it was about it, but the sight of that heart made my dick so hard so fast I thought I was going to shoot off right there in my pants. I mean, I'd really been turned on before, but that was fucking ridiculous. It was all I could do not to drop trowel and jump on it. Dave leapt from 4 steps up and landed on her perfect little belly with both feet, laughing as he lost his balance and banged his head on the corner of the open kitchen doorway. Hart girl choked again. This time a thick spray of dark blood flew from her mouth and stained her lips and chin, and I knew something had burst. The soul prints of Dave's airwalks were already starting to welt up on the curve of her cute little belly. I love it when a chick actually has a belly. I like really thin girls with nice tits, not huge or even all that big, just nice. A narrow waist, just a little soft curve in their stomachs. The whole 6-pack rock-hard abs thing is disgusting. Who in the right mind can look at a girl with a flat, lumpy stomach and find that appealing? To me, a sexy girl is firm, not hard. She shouldn't jiggle for 2 minutes after she's done laughing, but I like to see her body ripple back and forth a little bit when they're having sex. That's hot. Firm thighs, too, and her hips set up so that when she stands naked with her